Okay, welcome back to the show, folks. Once again, thanks for being with us on this, what we're finally appearing to get a little bit of autumn weather, so we'll call it an autumn Sunday Eve here as we approach Veterans Day, which once again is this coming Thursday, so I hope you will help us celebrate it in fine fashion and respectful fashion. And we're going to start off Veterans Day week with a special Veterans Day program, and I will be reading from several books tonight. And we will also have the words of Ronald Reagan as he spoke on Veterans Day in 1988. In the meantime, Trump busted the move on last night's Saturday Night Live, and evidently that's the part that went viral, and it was pretty good. I mean, it was he was dancing and doing this weird stuff, and he had like glasses on. And at one point he said, I think he sort of sang, "I used to sing," or something like that. It was pretty cute. It was cute. A couple of the skits were, I don't know where these comedy writers come from, but they need to go back there and get some more schooling. But
right.
but nonetheless, it was a pretty good Saturday Night Live, and it'd be interesting to see the ratings. The overnight ratings look, how should he say, huge, excellent, great, and we shall see if they topped the prior top rating, which was 12.5 million viewers in 2004, I think it is. Nick found this out for us on Friday, and that was Betty White. Betty White had the biggest draw before perhaps last night. So,
Betty White does command a pretty good audience. I mean, they've even had her on the WWE Raw once.
Oh, yeah. As, of course, Trump's been on there a number of times.
Trump loves wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. And his daughter, Ivanka, was on there with him as well. And so it was a bit of a family affair last night. And but it was all done in fun, and it was in good taste. And according to Trump this morning, the writers had come up with a bit where they were going to sort of pile on, if you want to call it that, Ben Carson and his troubles here most recently with some people disputing some of the things that he's written in his books. But Trump said, no, we're not going to do that. I don't want to do that. That's not what this is all about. So people are speculating. It was interesting to hear one of the talking heads this morning question whether this is something a president should do, someone running for president should do. And, of course, this person's probably a big fan of Hillary Clinton, right? And how was it, 3 weeks ago? She was on there. Now, she wasn't the host, but she was on Saturday Night Live. She was a part of the skits. She was a part of the, the butt of the jokes. Mm-hmm. So, come on. I mean, let's get over this stuff. I mean, this is ridiculous. Trump is doing what Trump does, and that is make best use of his skills and, shall we say, manipulating the media.
He has confidence to step into the lion's den, and I think that's what a lot of people are seeing. I'm willing to go on SNL, even though they've slammed me. I'm willing to go on Jimmy Fallon. I mean, the man will go anywhere.
And I'll say this about him. He looked like Trump. I mean, he looked presidential. He didn't look like, some stooge or something. They did not make a stooge out of him last night. Even the dance thing was, like I said, that is going to endear him, shall we say, to more people than not. Mm-hmm. So, and as I said, it's gone viral, and that's the intention of these whole things. And if it makes him look more likable and more human, or whatever you want to say it, more power to him. And he certainly, in my opinion, he pulled it off last night. Because he was right at home. I mean, on television in front of cameras, that's right at home where he's at.
He's not afraid of that camera, no.
And that's something that he has very much in common with the man who's going to deliver his Veterans Day speech from 1988 on our show later on, and that's Ronald Reagan. True. Ronald Reagan was not afraid of the camera.
No.
He knew exactly how he looked in front of the camera. He knew his best side. He knew his worst side, and he knew how to always get his best side on.
He was an ex-actor.
He was.
He knew exactly the poise to have in front of a camera and how to deliver.
When I think of these candidates, and the more and more I think of all of these candidates, both parties, but especially, of course, the Republicans, the one who is most like Ronald Reagan is
Trump.
Donald Trump. He is in so many ways, right? Even Reagan was a Democrat before he was a Republican. So come on, let's get with it here in terms of recognizing that Trump has got everything that it takes to be a good president, as do a couple of the other candidates. I believe that Ted Cruz has everything that it takes to be a good president. Believe it or not, I also think that Mike Huckabee has everything. Now, I know he raised taxes in Arkansas and stuff, but running the country is different than running Arkansas, and I think he gets it on that level. Do I think he's got a snowball's chance in hell of getting the nomination? No. But I think he would be a much better president than Jeb Bush, John Kasich, Carly Fiorina. He'd be a better president than Ben Carson. Now, Ben Carson, once again, I think would make a great vice president, but he does not have, let's just say, he's not quite there yet. Now, he's got all of the talents and the ability, so I don't want to say he doesn't have that, but they're not quite honed enough yet. He's sort of like a diamond in the rough. And he's getting honed a little bit right now, and I think a lot of it's much ado about nothing, but there are certainly, when you write facts that are sort of life-changing facts and people question them, and if you don't have any proof, of course it makes you look, it brings your credibility into question here. And this is what the media is trying to do. And Trump is being, I must say, very careful about all of this. He's saying, hey, look, this is there, but he's not, he's not going after Carson like he's gone after these other guys. I think he understands that Ben Carson has endeared himself to a lot of people in a way that the other candidates are, frankly, incapable of doing. And so he respects that. He's smart enough to respect that. Nonetheless, Ben Carson is a rival of his, and he understands that too. And at the end of the day, it is his job to defeat all of the other candidates. And he does, and he says constantly that he likes Ben Carson. I think he would like to have Ben Carson on the ticket with him. And I don't doubt that he has that the thought has crossed his mind. But Ben is finding out that. Barack Obama wasn't scrutinized in this fashion, but you knew you were going to be, right? And if you didn't, well, then you were being a bit naive. But nonetheless, I think Ben will come through this. At the end of the day, these are, minor things in comparison to, for instance, Hillary Clinton. If you wanted to say he was exaggerating things, well, my God, look at what Hillary Clinton has been allowed to get away with. Come on, give me a break here, right? Right? In essence, he was saying he was a troubled youth until he found God, and then he was troubled no more. Ain't that enough? I mean, that's the idea here. And it's the man that he is today and the man that he has become. And I don't doubt that he was in scuffles when he was a young person. He would have to have lived a very sheltered life not to have been. But perhaps they didn't, I don't know. But at the end of the day, if they would just one time give this type of treatment to Hillary Clinton, boy, wouldn't we all be thrilled and thank Christmas had come early that year. All right, let's go to JJ. JJ, thanks for being out there.
Hey, Chris, listen, I was just listening to your opening there about Trump. I didn't get to see it last night, but I have mixed feelings about Trump. You and a lot
of people do, and I understand that.
Yeah, and I do too. I mean, I understand. I was talking to a friend of mine about it this morning, but he's like Ronald Reagan in that he's not afraid to try in front of the camera and all that. But, and unlike Ronald Reagan, I guess Ronald Reagan ran a state, so I guess they have that in common, being able to have executive experience. But where he departs, I wish sometimes he gets petty and immature sounding, some of his attacks against even Carson. It doesn't come to mind now, but I've heard him say a few things, and I thought, oh gosh, you didn't need to say that. He just sometimes, he doesn't have the humility factor, the self-deprecating. Ronald Reagan had a humility about him that it wasn't that he was dumb, or some people look down on humility, but he had the wisdom with it. He was smart and wise, And I just wish that he would get a little more class, meaning Trump, and a little more humility, because he does have a lot going for him, and it's great. And that's a lot of reason why a lot of people like him, that he's not beholden to anybody. But I just wish he doesn't need to get down that, you know, I want a fighter, yes, but not to the point where he starts sounding like a little adolescent boy. You know.
Well, sure, I can certainly, you know, that is a valid concern.
I just worry about him.
Yeah, well, I think
that point where he ticks people off to where they're like,
right. Well, once again, see, but you have to understand, and this is something that I think Trump understands. The Democrats understand this, but they may not say it the same way as I do. And you've heard me say it repeatedly, over and over and over again. Politics is like professional wrestling. That is not to make fun of it. That is a reality. And if you do not deal with that reality in that world, you will lose more often than you win. And he's playing in that world. And in that world, those things work. And it's, you know, we may sit back and say, well, it's unfortunate, or it shouldn't be that way, but the fact of the matter is that it is. And what he is doing is he is showing everybody that I can play in this world, and I can be mean, and I can be rough, and I can do whatever it takes to win in this world. Now, what do you want to do about it?
And I know. I just wish it wouldn't get so personal sometimes.
Well, but politics.
You can't always tell what they look like. Or
but I know, JJ, but this has been the history of our country since way back, right? Aaron Burr and the feuds and the things that they said about Lincoln. This is part of the process. I understand, however, you're concerned, and I do think that he is maturing, shall we say, as this thing goes forward.